Not to unpack. The one thing I want to ask though, are you saying that the question is, I don't want to say unfair, but you catch my drift because you don't feel that being straight is the baseline?
Yeah, I don't think that, other than the Bible and these doctrines made by men, I don't think that there's nothing to prove that heterosexuality is natural. I mean, if we look at animals and their behavior, they're the closest thing to nature so far. So I don't think there's anything that points to being heterosexual as a sexual orientation, once again, not to reproduce or anything like that. So I don't think that that's a baseline.
Okay. So how do we come up with baselines though? Wouldn't the numbers matter?
The numbers matter from a statistical standpoint. Just like, I mean, white is still European white, still the majority in the United States. That's not necessarily the baseline anymore. I mean, the baseline can change at any time. So then we take it to fluidity.
What do you mean
Just
they're not
like,
the baseline though? Like what, white people aren't the baseline?
right, they're not. So just because that, just you said numbers, right? Which
Hmm.
means majority of something,
Yeah.
is what I'm taking from that. Just
Hmm.
because something is the majority doesn't mean that it's the baseline, and it doesn't mean that it is the standard, is basically what I'm trying to say. So a lot of
Oh,
people think, is
okay.
that what you're asking?
Yeah.
How to determine the baseline? Well, let's say we do determine the baseline based on the majority. So what if we get to the point where the majority starts to become fluid, hetero, homosexual, lesbian,
Mhm.
bisexual, what have you? What if that number starts to grow so much over the next 10 years? I'm just going to throw a number out, and
Yeah.
that becomes the majority of people.
The
Then,
baseline would change.
right. So that's why I say fluidity is also a major aspect to this. There's a spectrum that some people believe no one is 100% straight, 100% um, homosexual. There could be a spectrum as well.
Hmm. Okay. Shaun, what's your thoughts?
Well, to Miko's point, the baselines are created off statistics. I mean, that's how we develop a fundamental leverage line of averages, medians, means, and all of that. But the question of whether someone's born gay or not, I don't know. I'm not up to snuff on any case studies about genetic markers that are found in the LGBTQ community versus genetic markers that are found in heterosexuals. I don't know if that's been done. So I think that's uh, opinion and not fact, even if people believe it. I believe in science and numbers and statistics. And somebody just put in LGBTQ community makes up less than 4% of the U.S. population, which would be like 13 million people out of 367 million people. So if that were the case, that people were born that way, then either that's and I don't want to call it an imbalance. I don't want to insult anybody, but that would be an abnormality to what the norm is. And we know the norm through procreation, through marriage. And I know, people lie and people on the down low and all that, but the majority of the people that are on this planet are here from procreation and marriage. So I don't know where you would get uh, any factors to prove that someone was born one way or the other.
Can I ask a quick question? I don't know
Sure.
if I can.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Sure.
Because I mentioned that sexual orientation, that's something that a person would have to identify. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't feel an attraction or have sexual behaviors with someone of the same sex. So just because 4% of people choose to identify as homosexual, that's not a realistic um, is not it doesn't basically say how many people are truly experiencing homosexual behavior, sexual behaviors, in
Well,
attraction to the same
here's
sex.
here's the thing: we don't know that. That's speculation.
Yeah.
What speculation?
You saying that we don't know if there's more than 4% of people who identify as LGBTQ sexual preference. We don't. That's speculative. That's not something that
Yeah.
we know here or there.
Right, which is why I said the question in and of itself is problematic because it's asking two different things. One, is it a choice in the sense of do you feel sexually attracted to the same sex? That's different from homosexual because you have to choose, you have to identify as homosexual. That's a sexual orientation.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, there's no. We could just throw opinions on what we believe to be true versus what we have statistics to prove otherwise. So I don't know. I don't know. But if the question is whether we're born one way or we make a choice, I maybe there are studies that say kids don't develop sexual preferences until a certain age. You know, I was in the third grade thinking I had girlfriends, but was I really thinking sexually like that? I don't think so. Right? It was just a thing. You know, boys get girlfriends. Right? So I don't know what that age or that marker determines whether we start to believe in what we are attracted to is what we are sexually orientated at. There's no clear answer to that. So
Hmm.
So can I jump in for a second as far as like
Yeah,
age?
and then we're gonna get Poopy in. Go ahead, P.
So like if you're going by psychosocial stages of development, and you look at Freud, he separated by age. It's really done by like sexual or body parts, but that the age, I think age range is like 3 to 6, is when you discover your genitals, and you start to discern boys from girls based on genitals, right? And then from puberty up until death is like the matured sexual development. So that's where the onset of these feelings and these emotions and the engagement and the behaviors start to come out. So if we're trying to determine like at what age or what age range kids start to, show interest. I would go as far back as 3 and 6, right? That's when we discover our body parts. That's when we discover the parts that make us different from boys and girls. Go from there, barring environmental changes, so barring any trauma, barring any like promotion of one way or over the other. When you hit puberty, now you've got hormones and other things in play, and that will then, I guess, I want to say like that probably determines mostly who's going to be homosexual or who's going to engage in those behaviors. Again, as those, sorry y'all, those who identify as homosexual, because there are many. The data is always going to be skewed because there are going to be those people that say, "Oh, head is not gay," or if I do this, I'm not gay. But technically, by definition, you just engage in homosexual activities. But if you don't say you're gay, then you've already skewed the data. That's like me saying I'm not black, but I'm black, right? So I'm messing up the numbers if I mark something different on my Scantron sheet. Yeah, sorry, y'all.
Okay. Poop. Yeah, man. I think that rejection from the people that love you can hurt you in ways that you would never understand. So all praises that I never had to experience that because I could only imagine. If you have a belief system, especially if it comes to the Bible, I think you need to re-understand what it means to love your neighbor and rebuke your neighbor, but hold them close, right? Because if people are doing wrong, it's okay. Maybe you can assist them, you can help them, but you hold them close. You don't cast them away. Otherwise, they'll continue to go down that perpetual hole that you deem them in.
Come
So
on, Hemp. Come on, Hemp. You gotta hit that DJ Hemp the stampede. DJ Hemp the stampede.
yeah, man. Hey, man, I love y'all, man. I think y'all some of the smartest people I know, man. You too, Shaun. So
appreciate that.
listen. Hey, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we out.